Now, when routine checks were carried out on a piece of land which was earmarked for development to become a new housing estate in Belgium, a chilling discovery was made.
It emerged that the site was on a former World War I battlefield. Now, a team of archaeologists and volunteers then discovered the remains of more than 120 soldiers. Graham Satchell has been given exclusive access to this site.
The sun glides across a Flanders field. Underneath the stillness, the beauty, a destructive past is slowly being revealed. This is Dig Hill 80, just a few miles from EGBERT in the Belgian town of Wijtschate. It was a fortified command post that changed hands 5 times in the First World War.
The uniqueness of this site is that we have the entire war on this one location. So we can tell a story from 1914 onwards until 1918.
I found this metallic thing and I picked it up and I thought, oh wow, it's a hand grenade. And I put it back down.
Very quickly.
Very quickly.
EGBERT is one of hundreds of volunteers from more than 40 countries who've given time and money to make this dig possible.
It's the 3rd time today, but yeah.
You have found 3 hand grenades today?
Yeah, today. This is a good spot for hand grenades somehow.
As cellars and trenches have been excavated, more and more finds are revealed. This is a toothbrush. You can just about see the words British make. In the last 3 months, the volunteers here have found more than 3,000 artefacts. Some are in incredible condition, like this. It's a British Army water bottle. You can see the blue paint. The condition is incredible. What is it, Simon?
A box full of Mills hand grenades.
Box full of hand grenades?
Yeah.
Okay. Gernot, the explosive expert, is called to make sure everything is safe.
So I can't see if there's a safety pin inside. We take 30 meters, please.
30 meters?
30 meters, yes.
Okay. We move away. After a quick inspection, Gernot is happy and work can continue. On the other side of the site, the brutal horror of what happened here. Ben is delicately revealing a human body.
We've got the remains of what we think is a British soldier. It is painstaking work, lifting and excavating them. You tend to put the emotions to one side a little bit while you focus on the job in hand.
This is a small site, less than a hectare. Simon and his team expected to find around 30 dead soldiers. So far, they have uncovered 128. Carla de Roest is excavating a mass grave.
The fact that you will be giving these people a dignified place to rest is very satisfying, very rewarding, I think.
Yeah, it's worth doing.
It's worth doing, yes, it is.
I'm used to find soldiers. It will get to me every time, but this amount is, it brings you to the reality of war.
In a few weeks, this site will be flattened. 29 new houses are due to be built. The dead soldiers found here will be given full funerals. Many will be buried in war grave cemeteries in Flanders fields. Graham Satchell, BBC News.
Now, Al Murray is the patron of Hill 80, which is the charity that funded the dig. You would have seen it on some of the guys' hats there. Is with us now. Morning. You know, we just interrupted you because you were you were there last week, weren't you? And you were just talking about the defensive positions, the views you could see.
Yeah, that last image, it must be a drone shot, shows that the buildings that made up this defensive position were at the top of a hillside, with a hill sloping in front of it. And so the French and the British and then eventually the Americans, to try and take that hill, had to come up the hill. And I mean, the village folklore is that there's an army buried on that hill, and it's pretty much evidently true.
How emotional was it being there?
It was. The thing is I have a keen interest in history, and you can read about the First World War and know the stories of the mud and the blood, and you can go to the Menin Gate and see the names and the cemeteries. But to go to the site and the thing is, they found on the Wijtschate site, they found 3 mass graves where there's people just chucked in, thrown in the heat of battle, and it's really harrowing. I mean, it was a very, very strange day when I went on Tuesday, trying to take it all in, to be honest.
It's got to you, this, hasn't it? I
Oh,
can
yeah,
tell just watching you as you saw the pictures. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. Because I mean, there's so many excellent things about this project. It's crowdfunded. People from all over the world have come to work on it, and you know, you've a scene of international conflict where people from lots of nations died, but now 100 years later, people from all over the world working together to uncover the truth. It's like they're peeling this archaeological onion. It's incredible.
Graham was saying at the end of that piece that the houses will still be built, and that will be a housing estate.
Yeah.
I don't know, that doesn't sit very easy now. We know what's underneath, does it?
But the whole of that part of the world, especially that ridge, is basically a great big graveyard like that. I mean, this is the wonderful thing about this project is the people who died there will be laid to rest. I mean, it was extraordinary. The way they've dug the site is they have a digger and he scrapes 4 inches of earth off, and then they see a darkened patch of earth, which would be where shells landed and exploded and compacted the ground, and then these lighter strips of earth, which are where trenches have been filled back in, and the whole site's mapped out for you of the scene of a battle and what happened in the First World War. I mean, it's quite a staggering place.
It's amazing how projects like this bring so many diverse amount of people together. Because I know one of the volunteers was an American who'd never actually been to Europe.
Yes,
before.
It was his first trip to Europe to work on the site, and the day before I arrived, he'd been working on the site with a Russian, digging up these lads from Bavaria, basically, which is mainly the units that were found fighting on that hill. I mean, and Germans and Dutch people and Belgian people from all over the world. I mean, it's been quite brilliant for that, to be honest.
I think what struck me reading about this was it's what they found. I mean, human remains, and then sort of military hardware, but then just those little items like a teddy bear, and a bottle, which just humanise it, just make it all the more heartbreaking.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to think of soldiers as people in uniforms and khaki with their kit. But you get into, I mean, because these people lived there as well as died there.
And a lot of them were very young.
And they're very young. We were probably as young as 15, some of them. I mean, this is the thing. But from all, you know, you get a glimpse into their lives and what trench life was like. I mean, one of the interesting things is there's one of the trenches they've uncovered. At one point, the British did capture the strong point on the hill. So they reversed the trench that would point the other way at the Germans. And then they were kicked out by the Germans, and that's the trench that's been full of stuff because they left in such a hurry. They dumped the things they didn't think they needed, and that's been a real treasure trove. I mean, it's quite an extraordinary place.
And you use the word treasure trove. You studied history at university, and it's sites like this that keep that, build our knowledge. How's the discoveries on this site going to be used?
Well, the interesting thing about this site is we had plans of what the position probably was, because it was an old mill, a steam mill on top of a hill, and the Germans took it over and then fortified it, and we had their plans. So what we've been able to do is dig it and see if the plans are consistent and actually have a look, because the German fortifications were a thing they specialised in, a thing they were supposedly much better at than their opponents. So we've been able to find that out. But really, it's a way of having a proper look at a snapshot of what life was like on the Western Front.
It's a